I love it. I love it. Wow, I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Hey, what's poppin', my homies? What's good? Hope you're doing well, doing blessed, having a good day, having a good week. Hope you feel better than what I feel right now. I've got some type of COVID or something. But obviously when you've done like 220 breakdowns in a row, you gotta kill me to keep me away from the microphone, you know what I'm saying? Now let's take a look at my bets from last week. As you can see, I completely dusted the bookie. I dusted them. November didn't start well. That's fine. That's okay. We up now. We up in November, and if we win November, it's going to be 7 months in a row of profit. As always, if you want my bets, the only way to do that is to join the Patreon. Also join my Discord group, because that's really where the magic happens. So yeah, massive shout out to all the brothers in my Discord. We cashed 295. May we cash this event. Let's go. And looking at the MoneyCity Champions, guys, you dusted them. You smoked them. You smoked the bookie like I wish I could smoke right now. But I feel like I got COVID. Alright guys, let's go. Alright, first matchup on this card, we've got Christian Leroy Duncan taking on Denis Tiuliulin. I want to start the breakdown by saying I was going to cash a ticket on Christian Leroy Duncan against Almeida. However, that matchup doesn't exist anymore. We now have Denis Tiuliulin stepping in on short notice. So I guess the first thing we need to establish is how this matchup is different from the original matchup that Duncan had. I would say Almeida is a better striker than Denis Tiuliulin. However, Tiuliulin is kind of like the Russian Sean Strickland. He wants to box. He wants to stay in the pocket. Now guys, Christian Leroy Duncan had a really bad performance in his last matchup against Armen Petrosian. His timing was off. Couldn't dictate the fight. Couldn't get takedowns. Now the prediction I want to make is going to be Christian Leroy Duncan. I think he could get Denis Tiuliulin to the mat, considering Tiuliulin's grappling's not that good. So yeah, the prediction's still going to be Christian Leroy Duncan to win the matchup. Now moving into a matchup between Lucas Alexander taking on Jeka Saragih. Essentially this is going to be striker versus striker. Looking at the most recent performance of Lucas Alexander, we can say that he's very technical, very quick, and his kicks are the main weapons that he's looking to beat the opponent with. You know, the kicks are good. Now against Steven Peterson, I would say Lucas Alexander looked like a future world champion. But that's mainly because Steven Peterson defensively is very, very bad. Now Jeka Saragih is by far a better striker than Steven Peterson. Maybe not a better wrestler, or maybe not more experienced in mixed martial arts. But in terms of throwing kicks and being able to anticipate the kicks being thrown back at you, Jeka Saragih is much more suited to that job. Now guys, in Saragih's UFC debut, he was essentially outclassed in the grappling, and in Alexander's UFC debut, also outclassed in the grappling. So more than likely we do see a kickboxing matchup. And in that type of matchup, I would side with Lucas Alexander, but the money line is minus 500. F that. Alright, moving into a matchup between Rafael Estevam taking on Charles Johnson. Now guys, this is a difficult prediction to make because Charles Johnson's not that good. When you actually watch his UFC career and the fights he's had, I find myself kinda disappointed. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously he lost to Muhammad Makayev, which is fine, no problems. He did lose to Zhalgasumagulov, but then got gifted a robbery. His output was horrible. He looked gun shy in that fight, didn't do anything until the final round. So that was a bad performance. Now he did beat up Jimmy Flick, but that was fully expected, seeing as Jimmy Flick randomly decided to leave the fight game, had a layoff, came back, looked dreadful, which again, it was expected. Now Charles Johnson against Ode Osbourne, I picked Osbourne at plus money, and I'm glad I did because Charles Johnson again just had a bad performance. Even late in the fight when Ode was tired, Charles Johnson he didn't take advantage of that, you know? Then against Cody Durden, exhausted trying to survive on the mat, trying to break away from the grappling, got extremely tired. So again, another Charles Johnson performance that's just not impressive. Now it's still difficult to make a prediction because Rafael Estevam is unproven. He's going to be making his UFC debut by way of the Contender, and if you go back and watch his Contender Series matchup, my goodness, he dusted that lad. He beat that lad up on the mat like it was personal. However, he's still unproven. It's not like he fought someone that was actually good. So either I'm picking Charles Johnson, who in my opinion isn't good, or I'm picking an unproven fighter in Rafael Estevam. Gun to the head. Give me Rafael Estevam to find a stoppage on the mat, and hopefully Charles Johnson continues the trend of just being disappointing. Alright, moving into a matchup between Chad Anheliger taking on Jose Johnson. Now guys, I may be harsh with some of my breakdowns, but that's kind of what you get with these UFC fight nights where the competition isn't super high. There's more weaknesses to speak about, and they do need to be addressed and made known, especially to those who aren't as familiar with some of these fighters. So let me tell you guys, Jose Johnson actually has the same level takedown defense as a newborn baby giraffe. Imagine a baby giraffe being born, attempting to stay upright. It doesn't. It falls. It falls to the ground. Now that's Jose Johnson, a guy that could actually be a problem for good featherweights if he just learned to stay on the feet, just improve that glaring weakness, and it's like he would improve massively. Now guys, Chad Anheliger is a fighter that, he's made it to the UFC, not based on skill, it's based on grit, determination, a willingness to fight, a willingness to prove that he can be victorious, even if he's outmatched in physicality or speed or technique. He's just a tough-nosed Canadian. He's willing to scrap. However, just being willing to fight doesn't get you far at the highest level of mixed martial arts. You have to exploit your opponent's weakness. It's very clear the weakness of Jose Johnson is the takedown defense. So if you're Chad Anheliger, you have to exploit that. Guys, I'm going to say that Chad Anheliger maybe exploits Jose Johnson's weakness early or even late, but not enough to win the fight. So I'm going to side with Jose Johnson, but like I said, there's a glaring weakness. The takedown defense, super bad. Alright, moving into a matchup between Jonathan Pearce taking on Joanderson Brito. This is a fun matchup. Now, for anyone that's watched the career of Jonathan Pearce, you understand his wrestling is primarily what he's good at. You understand he wants to fight on the mat. 6 UFC fights, 5 wins, 1 loss. Jonathan Pearce displaying dominant work inside the octagon, completely dusted Makwan Amiakani, dominated the veteran Darren Elkins, easily dusted Omar Morales in round 1, even has a win over C-Rod, who's becoming a real prospect in the promotion. So guys, it's fair to say Jonathan Pearce is displaying respectable performances. Now his opponent, Joanderson Brito, this guy could win the fight. Joanderson Brito could absolutely win the matchup, but his cardio is garbage. It's garbage. After 5 minutes of throwing nukes at your skull, he's essentially very beatable. So it's going to be very important for Joanderson Brito to manage his energy. If he doesn't get an early stoppage, he's able to effectively compete with the opponent outside of round 1. Based on the fact Joanderson Brito hasn't been outside of round 1 since his UFC debut, I'm not able to confidently say he's going to look good outside of round 1. Does he go for the kill early in round 1? Because if he goes for the kill in round 1 and doesn't get it, then we see a similar story that we've already seen with Joanderson Brito, being fatigued and ineffective because of that. So give me JSP, Jonathan Pearce, to either find a late stoppage on the mat or to win over 15 minutes. Alright, moving into a matchup between Caio Machado taking on Mick Parkin. Now guys, I was watching the Contender Series matchup Caio had, and I actually fell asleep. I legit fell asleep. So that's a great indication to me that Caio is not what I'm looking for. He's not the type of fighter I'm trying to put money on. I'm not trying to bet this Brazilian dude. Now on the flip side, we've got Mick Parkin, who's not exactly super exciting. But when you watch Mick Parkin fight, you can really appreciate the boxing. Especially against Jamal Pokes. Jamal Pokes is a black belt on the mat. A guy that works off the jab. However, Mick Parkin essentially said to Jamal Pokes, I'm going to work you with the jab, big lad. You don't come to England and beat me in front of my own people. You're going to get dusted. And he did that. He beat Jamal Pokes. So for me, it is an easy prediction to make. I'm going to side with Mick Parkin, the better boxer. He's also going to show to be better in the clinch against the fence. And he may even show to be better on the mat. he may show to be the better mixed martial artist, so give me Mick Parkin. Alright, moving into a matchup between Lucie Pudilova taking on Ailin Perez. Now guys, Ailin Perez has changed her octagon name to Nurmagomedov. Now when I break down Erin Blanchfield matchups, I don't say Erin Blanchfield, I say Erin Nurmagomedov. When I break down Tatiana Suarez matchups, I don't say Tatiana Suarez, I say female Habib. Now guys, Ailin Perez has changed her name to Nurmagomedov, mainly based on her last matchup where she essentially ragdolled Jessica Eye. However, Jessica Eye was coming off spinal surgery. Her back was broken. Spinal. Now I'm only joking. I don't think she broke her back, but she did have spinal surgery. Now Lucie Pudilova, she does have the jiu-jitsu. Her jiu-jitsu's good. She does have the experience. Her striking defense, not too good. But guys, she's also not fighting a high-level kickboxer, so even though her striking defense isn't that good, Ailin Perez wants to essentially prove that she's rightful to have the name Nurmagomedov. She wants to wrestle the opponent, grapple the opponent. Now I'm going to side with the underdog, Lucie Pudilova. She may lose round 1, but I think her experience could start to show. You know, she's got a lot of experience. And Ailin Perez, you know, still getting to know the game. So yeah, give me the underdog. Alright, moving into a matchup between Nikolas Motta taking on Trey Ogden. Now guys, Nikolas Motta got absolutely dusted in his last matchup against the Mexican brother Manuel Torres. Dude literally hooked him up to the Shadow City server. Really good stuff. And in his UFC debut, got taught a lesson by the veteran Jim Miller. So Nikolas Motta not looking too good in his losses, getting dusted. The win against Cameron Van Camp, obviously that was a good win, but Van Camp, not good competition. You know, that guy's a dosser. Now Trey Ogden is a guy that, in my opinion, he's not good enough to be in the UFC. I think a lot of fighters aren't good enough, but I'm not going to go into the reasons as to why that is, but I'll say this, you don't want to be the loser of this matchup. Now Trey Ogden got calf kicked like 60 times by Jordan Leavitt, and although he might be a better kicker in this matchup here, that's still an embarrassing stat. So guys, give me the Brazilian Nikolas Motta to showcase that he's a better boxer, a quicker boxer, a sharper boxer than Trey Ogden. That's my pick. Now guys, no smoke break for me on this one, but I am going to hit the lighter for all the people that is smoking still. If you waited to smoke with me, even though I'm not smoking, amen. If you've been smoking this whole time, double amen. If you're not a smoker but you enjoy the smoke breaks, even though I'm not smoking on this one, that's always been a triple amen. Let's go. Now guys, UFC 295, I've got to say it, it was like a dream. It was like a dream. It was perfect. From start to finish, perfect. Guys, I'm even going to give a shout out to Peruvian Kev, the homie Peruvian Kev. Looked good against Josh Van early, round 1, looked good. But, you know, Josh Van, the body work, oh my goodness. I'll tell you what, if Josh Van's boxing people up like that, working the body like that, I cannot wait to see Josh Van again. It was unbelievable. The body work, come on. And guys, just the whole card was just perfect. And this card it's obviously not as good, but yeah, let's go. Moving into a matchup between Amanda Ribas taking on Luana Pinheiro. So this matchup is going to be Brazilian versus Brazilian. Amanda Ribas is a high-level jiu-jitsu player. However, her striking defense at times is kind of questionable. I did bet Macy Barber at close to plus 200 and she broke Ribas. Dusted her. Marina Rodriguez also broke Amanda Ribas on the feet, so it's not impossible to win the fight there against Ribas. Obviously, if you get taken to the mat, you're now more in the world of Amanda Ribas, and you're going to be forced to show your jiu-jitsu. Now, Luana Pinheiro is so far undefeated in the UFC. She does have some power on the feet. However, it's clear to see that she fatigues quite badly as the fight progresses, and obviously when the competition increases, her cardio weakness is going to be exploited even more. So for that reason, I will be siding with Amanda Ribas to find a late submission or to win on the scorecard. Just think Luana Pinheiro, you know, there's power on the feet, but she gets tired. You know, so even if she has a good first round against Amanda Ribas, she's going to fatigue. Then if it goes to the mat, Amanda Ribas is better. So yeah, give me Ribas. Alright guys, moving into a matchup between Payton Talbott taking on Nick Aguirre. Now guys, this is an easy prediction, super easy. Payton Talbott's going to win the matchup. That's the winner. And the reason why that's the winner, Payton Talbott, he's the winner. The reason why, he's just going to walk forward and essentially say to Nick, look, land your best shot. Land your best shot, then I'm going to dust you. You can see on the contender that Payton Talbott, he's got a metal jaw. You know, the guy's a madman. It's really fun to watch Payton Talbott fight, and I'm telling you, this guy could be something. This guy could be the real deal. The real deal. And what I mean by that is, you know, you're watching him fight to fight. Like, this guy could get a big fan base. I'm telling you, man, this weekend, enjoy the performance of Payton Talbott. He's going to dust Nick Aguirre. That's my pick. Moving into a matchup between Chase Hooper taking on Jordan Leavitt. And this is going to be Jiu-Jitsu versus Jiu-Jitsu. Both of these guys, Jiu-Jitsu players. So we're going to look at who's the better boxer. Considering Jordan Leavitt doesn't really throw his hands, doesn't really box, I'd have to say Chase Hooper. And obviously, I'm not saying Chase Hooper's a good boxer. I'm saying he's a better boxer than Jordan Leavitt. Now, who's going to be the better kicker between Chase Hooper and Jordan Leavitt? Considering Jordan Leavitt mainly kicks, you know, doesn't box, he just kicks. We're going to say the better kicker's Jordan Leavitt. It's a good matchup. You know, if it goes to the mat, you've got two very, very good jiu-jitsu players. But if it stays on the feet, that's where you're going to see, you're going to see Chase Hooper essentially land his punches, I believe. And I know the weakness of Chase Hooper's the chin's in the air. The striking defense isn't good, but if Jordan Leavitt's not throwing punches, then it's okay. And also, guys, if you look at Chase Hooper in his last matchup, he did fight really aggressively, really, really aggressive, throwing down, screaming in the octagon, throwing punches, you know, he was aggressive. So the fact Jordan Leavitt doesn't throw punches and Chase Hooper is extremely aggressive with throwing punches, and they're both jiu-jitsu players, give me Chase Hooper. Moving into a matchup between Jake Matthews taking on Michael Morales, an excellent co-main event between an experienced UFC fighter in Jake Matthews taking on a rising prospect in Michael Morales, a great co-main event. Now, Jake Matthews does have nice boxing. He's a black belt on the mat. He's got the experience to potentially cause problems for Michael Morales, and I wouldn't be shocked if he did. However, guys, Michael Morales is slick. This dude's a rising prospect. He kind of reminds me of Israel Adesanya. Just the way he stands, the lightness on the feet, the way he moves, the counters. I kind of see Israel Adesanya in the style of Michael Morales. And that's the first thing I was thinking when I was watching his UFC debut. You know, sometimes you watch a fighter and you think, I've seen this before. For example, Corey Sandhagen. When you watch Corey Sandhagen move his feet, you instantly see Dominic Cruz. I see shades of Izzy in Michael Morales. But let's see this weekend, guys, because if I'm making these comparisons and he gets dusted, then obviously I was off. But yeah, I'm going to side with Michael Morales. If you compare him to Israel Adesanya in a breakdown, you've got to make that pick. So yeah, give me Morales. Now, guys, moving into the main event, Paul Craig taking on Brendan Allen. This is a very easy prediction to make, super easy. And that's because Paul Craig's good at one thing. You know, he's a jiu-jitsu player. He's not a boxer. He's not a kicker. He's not a wrestler. He's not a guy that can take your punches. He's not a cardio guy. He's not taekwondo. He's not karate. He's not Muay Thai. He's none of these things. He's a jiu-jitsu player. So guys, being a specialist, it will work, but it's not going to work overall. You know, it's not going to win you championships. It's not going to win you main events, in my opinion. Not in 2023, 2024. Being a specialist is a thing of the past. You know, mixed martial arts is always evolving, always getting better, always getting more high level. And in this situation, when you see Paul Craig with just one good thing, jiu-jitsu, the rest, garbage. In that situation, it is going to be easy to pick against Paul Craig. And I know the fellow Scots won't like it. You won't like my breakdown. Brendan Allen, also a jiu-jitsu player, also a black belt. But guys, the real difference is Brendan Allen's a good boxer. He's good with the teeps. He's getting better in other areas of mixed martial arts, not just jiu-jitsu. And that's the real difference. So yeah, Brendan Allen to stop the main event, to finish Paul Craig, round 1 or round 2. As always, drop down your main event, your co-main event, your straight bets, your MoneyCity bets, your parlays, all that good stuff. Drop in the comment section below. And as always, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Peace.